What's up, everybody? How you doing? Dr. Maxwell here with another edition of Bring the Smoke. And we got my friend over here, Miss Kyrus. Man, I'm gonna just let her tell you who she is because she do so many different things.
Oh my gosh. No. Okay. So I am Pastor Kyrus of Favor Nation Church. What do? I do podcasts. I do a podcast on Monday called After the Word, or Afterward, with our church and some of my other colleagues and co-hosts. I have my own relationship podcast called Live with Kyrus, and our focus is relationship meds. So meds stands for married, engaged, dating, and single. And that is my heart and my focus. But today I'm here with Dr. Maxwell because his story has provoked me to want to push him to do an interview.
Well, thank you so much. So basically, it's my show, but she the boss, so she gonna kind of walk us through whatever we supposed to do today. Meds, I like that. Meds, man, that's dope because a lot of us need our meds.
And a lot of us do need our meds, and relationships can heal or they can hurt, but it just depends on where you're coming from. And I think in listening to your story, and I was like, Maxwell, you've got to tell the people kind of where you've been. Where does this come from? Where did your books come from? I think we're looking at your now, but we don't know your then. And so I'm very excited to hear a part of your journey today.
Wow. Well, that's dope. Go ahead. Go do
Okay,
your
so you know my heart is relationships. So we're getting ready to ask.
Cut! On this way.
Pastor
Go ahead.
Doctor.
You woke me
You woke
up.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah, we talking.
You know, that's my area. That's the heart of me, is relationships, because I really truly don't believe that people understand. One, they don't get covenant. They don't get the importance of marriage. They don't get the importance of just having a significant other to help me. They don't. We're lacking in understanding of what relationship really entails. And you mentioned your ex-girlfriend, fiance. What was she?
Just say girlfriend for now.
Okay, your ex-girlfriend. We're gonna mention it.
It's about to be good.
I'm listening.
So you mentioned that her aunt and uncle were really instrumental in showing you the spiritual aspect of things and really teaching you a lot more of the spiritual side while your parents were practical. So you were able to see both and understand both, because Jesus was still practical. There were certain things. He still had an accountant. He still was around doctors. He still was around other people. You know, the disciples weren't all just followers of the way. They had other professions before they began to follow him. So being able to have different examples was great. So with that, do you, even if that didn't end however you were assuming or thinking it would end, where was the benefit in that relationship? Because I want people to see that things aren't a waste.
The benefit definitely was the spiritual growth. I met people at the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit that showed me a real, they had gifts, man. They might have Tupac beat, boom, 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 and they might come in there and be rapping and doing kingdom stuff. It would just be the most energetic youth program ever.
Wow.
Definitely learned, how to pray in the spirit. Learned a lot of that through, I know another person influenced me as well, but a lot of that wouldn't have happened. Learning how to kind of negotiate and talk to people, because Miss Grace was definitely good at negotiating and putting different events and stuff together.
Okay.
And so I think I definitely gleaned from that as well. I learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot. You be with somebody who understands your call. Because the thing about it, if you marry somebody who don't like church, that means you pulling out of your cup when it shouldn't even be pulling out. So if you marry somebody who don't like church, that means 52 weeks out the year, you pulling into your reserve when they thinking they doing something that you owe them something. So every time they go to church, they feel like they're doing you a favor. So that means if you got a convention to go to or a Jake's conference to go to, you depleted. because they already done been to church with you and they don't even want to go. So you just got to be careful about when you connect with somebody who don't understand ministry. Now, my thing is your wife or your husband, whatever gender you are, as far as, your spouse is your first line of ministry. That's your first ministry.
At home.
So also you can't feed the church. I tell newbies grow up all the time. When I get married, y'all need to understand when y'all become at the last minute, that stuff ain't gonna work. Like, cause I'm not gonna be doing it all the time because my first line of ministry gonna be my wife, right? And so you're supposed to cleave unto your wife, right? It ain't supposed to be nothing between it. No church, no kids, none of that stuff. You and your wife cleaving together. Y'all are smashed together. You understand?
Two
Shut up,
become
man.
one. I was about to say, it was so many things.
Really? That's what we doing now?
When he said you're pulling out, and I'm thinking,
You think you can stay in now?
she might start liking church, She might get up and go.
I got clips.
As a person who is out looking around or whatnot and you looking for a relationship, I would say this. You need to be in prayer and you have to be discerning.
Okay.
Because the devil will disguise himself as an angel of light. If you don't like fat people not going to be who tempt you. It's going to be whatever it is you like. So you need to understand that you can't get so caught up in fleshy things. You have to be caught up in spiritual things. And what I had to learn as a person is this. Adam said, she's bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. I used to always be like, she flesh of my flesh and hope she bone of my bone. So you got to go to the inside first and work your way out.
Yo, somebody, please. Please.
Hey,
Please.
that's for real. That's real
Please.
talk. That'll post.
Okay.
That's a good word. I said originally I should get up because I haven't seen that. But that doesn't mean it's out there. And I always go back to Ruth and Naomi. Just do what you're called to do, and the right person will come alongside and prepare the way, or they'll begin to make way and make room for you. Because I don't believe in the help meet that comes in and it's, whatever it is you can deal with. Everybody's got something. It's what you can put up with. No, but if I'm there to meet something, I'm there to fill a void. And there should be a coming together of the minds, of the heart, soul, body, and the puzzle pieces. So if there's someone that's attempting to talk to me in my DMs, stepping outside whoever they are, first I call them by their title. So if you are pastor, prophet, bishop, apostle, doctor, I'm going to call you by your title, that you're known publicly, to see how you respond to me with that privately. Because I don't want someone, I feel like I'm about to get in trouble.
You ain't talking about nobody. Go ahead. You ain't talking about nobody.
You might not think I'm talking. People know who's being talked about, or when people are being
saying your ex or nothing. Yeah,
no. But in all honesty, I want the you that you are publicly, the you that you are privately, the level of integrity, care, and I need that to be consistent. Now there is if your spouse is a pastor, if your spouse is in the work world, there's the man and then there's your husband. So a man is who you are and a husband is one of your roles. And so I want to see, usually I'm asking questions. What do you like in a woman? What do you want in a wife? Because I am a woman, but a wife is a role that I'll play. And I have to consider that too. Women are always wanting to be picked. Women are always wanting to be chosen, but do I like you? This is a two-way interview. And so one thing that people have to consider, as women especially in this day and time, you have to consider, is he a good fit for you? And it's not just in ministry. It's at home. It's with kids. It's in the bed. It's in the kitchen. It's in the office. It's in the courtroom. It's in the prayer room. You have to find someone that's really going to be a blessing. You're naturally a nurturer. I'm naturally a nurturer. I'm naturally a godmom, an aunt, a friend, a sister, a daughter. I'm sure I'll be a good wife. It's just in me. It's something that I want to do. But you have to be careful, because the right man, who could be a sniper, will pull all of those things out of you and use it to their advantage. And it'll be what you can do for them, not what they can do for you. It's a two-way street. It's not just one-sided. Don't get the man who's like, well, what do you bring to the table? What can you do? What's this, and this? Find someone who cares about the heart of you. And that doesn't mean they're ignoring your credit score, your bank account, your accolades, and all of those things. But when all of that fades and you two are 85 and 90 years old, you have to remember the friend. Have a friendship first. Don't just jump in the sheets with somebody. Don't just decide, oh, I need to go on a date. You need to take me here. You need to take me there. Cheesecake Factory is fine, okay?
Shots fired.
I'm just saying, but you have to decide at the end of the day when it's just the two of you, is this person my other person? Is this my teammate? I played softball in high school and in college. So I'm big on team, and I'm thinking, where can I help and where do I need necessarily help? Not rescuing, but help in furthering something that I'm supposed to be doing. Because when God has called you, there's still support. There are still people. When you go into an interview, you don't interview yourself. The higher ups interview you. There is leadership there that interviews you. There is a need at the company, and they're seeing if you can meet it. And the interview, you're interviewing them, and they're interviewing you too. You've got to. I believe that we're missing it in relationships and in the church. I don't care how much you can shout. Okay, I don't care if you got a jig, if you can dance, if you can. I don't care about none of that. If you don't have integrity, I don't want it. We see good people all the time that don't got the Holy Ghost, but they're good people. And there's a heart posture where they're available for God to fill them. I don't need you to be so full of yourself that you can't be full. I don't mind following. I don't mind being submissive, but give me something to submit to. I think submitting and getting under the mission is great. And when I'm listening to Dr. Maxwell, whoever your future bride will be blessed if she knows what a blessing looks like. Stop dating and being around, not him, but just stop dating and being around blind people. I don't want someone to lose me to love me. Make sure you get a man with foresight who can see and call things out of you, and they don't have to lose you to think, wow, that's a good thing. Every ring is missing a jewel when we look down and there's no bling, but I want someone to appreciate it when they see the bling and clean it and shine it up nicely and take good care of it and put it in a cushion box. Okay, I'm just saying. So.
Hey, I heard the bed thing, right? So how you gonna figure out the bed thing? You gonna figure out before or after?
The bed thing?
So you said the bed. You said you said
I'm gonna figure out.
So I want to know.
I'm gonna figure out after.
I'm awake now.
You said, but you
I'm
just
gonna
said.
figure out, but
You said.
I did say
that
it.
he got a bed. So how you gonna know?
Because you can still. God still cares about chemistry. God is not this. Come on, okay?
So you ain't got.
God cares about chemistry. If there are certain things, and especially if you are a prophetic person, there is a certain need because of the high that you're on when you're prophesying, when you're saving people and changing the trajectory of their lives, and you're going into warfare, into battle. There's a certain pour that needs replenishing. So while you're ministering, you need to have someone who can minister to you on a whole different level when you get back. Why? And then let's not even talk about the How are we here? Let's not talk.
I'm just asking. I just
but what about the adrenaline? What about the rush? So now you're on this platform. People are cheering your name. People are saying, preach, that's a good word. This, and this. And so you have all of that praise that you're getting. And while the pastor, the priest, the prophet is getting the praise, when you come off of that pulpit, sometimes your flesh is still saying, well, what about me? So then you have someone, and God gives you that person in the sheets. Me, I'm going to try it out later. I'm not testing nothing. Y'all not about to get no milk without paying for the cow, baby. And I'm just saying. So
you going to get a prenup? If the sex ain't good, I'm just going to leave.
I actually don't mind signing a prenup only because what you worked for.
I ain't talking about that.
Okay, let's bring it out.
We on the bedroom.
I'm just saying.
You said.
But you can teach people. But somebody who is in love with you, somebody who desires you, you're not blind. Now, you might have LASIK, and you might sometimes wear your glasses for certain things, but they never said you was blind. So my thing is, Personality is not written on your forehead. You need to marry someone that you are attracted to. You need to marry someone that you like, dang, you know, we might not be doing something now, but when that time comes, I already know what, how, where, different things. God has given us desires, not to kill them off, but to give someone else to fulfill them at an appointed time. And so I'm not spreading myself thin, and we not about. This is not the little Chinese joint at the mall where they giving you the testers of the teriyaki. You know it's good, it smells good, it looks good, and you hungry. So I'm gonna fill your plate, and we all just gonna eat. So what we'll say?
That's a great answer. Hey, I just want to know.
No, but I'm glad you asked,
I had to, because people want to know.
People do want to know, and
everybody.
Everybody handles things differently. I believe being single in ministry, being young in ministry, anointed, called, gifted, intelligent, good looking. You know, you have a lot going for yourself. You are susceptible to a lot. People will say, oh, you should try this dating site, or you should try this. I'm not going to try any Christian dating site. This is a word to the women out there. Get off Christian Mingle. Okay? Let me tell you why. Because if you want a good girl, where you going to go? Christian Mingle. That don't mean you a good guy. Okay? So I'm just saying. It might be for some, but it ain't for me.
Dang, that sounded so one-sided.
It might, but it may be. Because because you're usually the prey. Men like to hunt. So what are they hunting? I'm just saying. Anyway, my whole point is, God gives us these desires. He still created us as spirit beings, but we're still wrapped in flesh. So there's still a certain desire, and even if you subdue it, there's still a time and a person that you can let it loose with. That person is for you. You need to keep it with that one person. But I don't believe that God is just called to make you a nun, or he's called to just make you this eunuch. You have these parts, and they do create, and they do have a purpose, but there's pain in finishing up that purpose, but the process in creating and making the purpose come forth can still be enjoyable. God cares about intimacy, and he talks about it so often in the Bible. He talks about marriage so often in the Bible. He's not going to get you to a place to where you're not going to enjoy sleeping with your spouse. Now, if you do, you might have should have put that in your prayers. But if you have someone who loves you and who's into you, you can teach them what you like. Can I show you something that I like for a second?
How you know all this?
Because I'm not dumb. I'm working on my PhD.
All right, go.
I'm working on my PhD in psychology. It's a psyche. Sex and intimacy starts before you get there, right?
That's what they say.
It starts before you get there. Flirting is not just in person. You know, there are lots of creative ways that people can, keep someone's attention. And you'll hear some people say, well, I shouldn't have to keep your attention. I'm your wife, blah, 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 blah. Or I'm your husband, da, da, da. But keep date. Don't get me started on relationships. Don't get me started on relationships. But
all I'm saying, I like what you're saying. So you don't have to test anything before you get married. But you need to understand, when you do get married, don't act like a nun. You understand? Because
and keep it right.
He not marrying you, or she not marrying you just for church stuff. You understand? So y'all need to make sure that y'all take care of each other, please each other, because the Bible says your body don't belong to you anymore. Your body belongs to your husband, or your body belongs to your wife. And so he said, make sure that you are there to please each other, and don't withhold from each other unless you're trying to do fasting and prayer.
And discuss
y'all discuss
that. Yeah,
together,
talk about that.
So I'm just trying to let you know. So a lot of time, I believe, people counseled and whatever, and church folk do all this stuff, then they get married, and then don't want to do some of the stuff that they was doing. I ain't saying bring nobody in your bedroom and all this stuff, but it says the marriage bed is not defiled. So, some of the things that y'all, all of y'all ain't gonna not test it like she talking about. So what I'm saying is, whatever y'all were doing, if y'all were doing anything before y'all got married, you can't just stop doing it and say you holy now. Because at the end of the day, like I said, unless y'all bringing other people or some other stuff in the bedroom that ain't supposed to be there, make sure that you please your wife or your husband.
But then too, you have to keep there's certain things. If you went to the gym when I met you, keep going to the gym. If you had your own separate life and sometimes went out with your friends and had brunch with the girls once a month, keep certain dates, because though two become one, you still have your own identity that person was attracted to. You're still, your stories, when you get married, your stories and your testimony is not going to disappear. Your comedy, all of your gifts and talents, they don't just go away. But your wife should enhance them. She should make them better. She shouldn't try to stifle them and put them out, but it should be a greater flame because now you have someone to continue to light that flame. So,
not the blue flame.
Not the blue flame. So there's intellect, and I like a smart man. I want someone who's wise. And I'm not saying you have to be a scholar, but I want you to have wisdom. I want you to have leadership qualities and capabilities. But I also need to know that you can lead different groups in different ways. I had a coach who coached every player exactly the same. Now, our repercussions should be the same. But in the way that you talk to me versus how he talked to my sister, he could yell and cuss at my sister and she gonna have the best game of her life. Me, I'm gonna shut down. I don't want nothing to do with you. But you have to know how to talk to that person. So I want someone who can have a sweet tone. I also want someone that I can see. You can talk to the man. You can talk to the king in a man, or you can talk to the joker or the clown in a man. And so I want to be able to see both sides, someone who's vulnerable enough to show me where they've come from, where they've been, things that they've endured. So I want someone who's strong. I want someone who's strong in their vulnerability, because I can't help you and get close to you if I don't know you. If I don't know who you've been, it's hard for me to really appreciate who you are. So I want someone who can be open. And I need companionship. I'm the oldest. I couldn't wait till my siblings were born. My sister was probably 2 days old. And I was like, please let her sleep with me. Because I'm a friend and I've shown myself friendly. And so I love having friends and people around. So companionship is big for me. So I want a friend. I want someone I can call, laugh with, cry with, pray with. And sometimes they're going to be like, all right, this is enough. We're just going to sit together, be quiet, and watch movies. And I'm cool with that too. But I just think maybe I need variety of one person who knows how to be all things to all men. The man is me, okay? The woman is me in that season. So I don't know. I need someone who's open.
I mean, I want somebody who's supportive, someone who understands my call. Of course, you got to teach them about your call as well. Somebody flexible, because sometimes, I don't want it to become the norm, but sometimes things come up. But I do have a team of people who handle most of the things. Like with me, if it's a regular member or something, my deacons can handle that. But if it's my deacon or my leaders, then I'm going to make sure I'm there to handle it. You understand? So like when one of my deacons' mother passed, I was there. I went to the hospital. I made sure I went and did certain things. Even though it was 4 hours away, I'm going.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm not going to send another minister. Not saying that my lay members aren't as important, but my leaders are an extension of me, and they take care of them. I try to take care of everybody the same, then it ends up depleting me. Mm-hmm. So they would have to understand that if my leaders go down, I'm there. But they need to know that ain't going to be the norm either. So somebody who gonna protect and cover you. Of course, I'm gonna protect and cover the woman more so than she gonna do that for me. But like certain things, they need to know. All right, I need to say something to this waiter today. It's Monday. He ain't gonna be patient. He don't want to be out. He just out because I want him to be out. But Monday ain't the day. Saturday ain't the day for him to go out. So if this waiter tripping, let me go ahead and say something, because he gonna snap in a minute. And this is like little things, So if I cannot go to sorry restaurants on Saturday and Monday, because right before I preach and the day after, I ain't got no patience with you. And Sunday I'm gonna be asleep, so I ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? If I do go, I don't even know if you're doing wrong or not, because I'm in there like, whatever, okay, cool. But, it's just certain things that you will get to know about me. I need, that's it. Can't be jealous. Because if you jealous, it ain't going to work, because people going to always be in my face, whether I want them in my face or not just because I'm a successful person, but because I'm a pastor.
Yeah. So
men and women always in your face, and you trying to be nice. And it's good to have somebody who can politely tell them, to get out your face if you don't want them there. You know what I'm saying? And so
Be sweet and bold.
Yeah, so that's all. I don't know, man. I just want support. That's it. Support.
But I
don't
think
need
you said that you really said something good, understanding your call. Because after you said that, everything that you mentioned under that would come with understanding, and just realizing how much you pour out. I think it's tough because people do meet you, or someone in ministry, whoever, and they're thinking, or the anointing is attractive, but I'm not gonna be your pastor while we're hanging out and we're at, whatever restaurant it is. I'm trying to get to know you, to date you. I'm gathering information. I don't need you quoting scriptures because I'm about to Google it. What did Luke say? When you quote me a number, I'm be like, I'm gonna paraphrase it. I don't always need that. And so I think that's good when you're saying you need someone who understands, because they will understand that you don't need another member. You need a wife. You need a friend. You need a spouse. You don't need another person that's like, okay, well, can you pray for me? I don't need one more prayer request right now. I might need to be prayed for.
Right.
So
some people will come to you in their needy states.
Yeah.
Like, that's attractive. I need this.
But you know what's taught? That's taught though. If you think about older women, what did Naomi say to Ruth? She was saying, lay at his feet. Yeah. So there's a certain thing, and some people may have misinterpreted that.
Text,
right, thank you. But there's some people who have misinterpreted that.
Come on, somebody.
Hello. But what I'm saying is, so there's certain things that have been taught that need to be forgotten, especially in this day and age, because you don't want someone who's needy. Help meet doesn't mean be needy. You're meeting a need. You're supposed to be helping me. So I think we have to have a whole different conversation based on that. But I just think a lot of people have been misled, and it's unfortunate because we see a lot of divorce in the church and nobody wants to have the taboo conversations, which is why I have relationship meds, because everybody, no one wants to talk about taboo or talk about sex or talk about intimacy and friendship, relationship and submission. That's just this terrible word, but they talk about you getting a divorce, but they don't want to talk about something that helps to stop you from getting there. So I think we need to change that topic and have
I would say
Maxwell.
One of the reasons why it's such a high rate of divorce in the church is that people run to the church who ain't been going to the church at the end of their marriage and trying to get me to give you a miracle or a pastor give you a miracle. So you become a part of the stats for the church, but you weren't there. You weren't coming to church. You weren't going to Sunday school. You weren't coming to worship. Now you came to me because you in a crisis, but your building already on fire. Only I didn't do was throw some water on it, and then but the building is already totally destroyed. So some church people have problems.
Let me reposition myself.
Some church people have problems, but a lot of those church people that have problems not really church people. They ain't coming. You ain't coming to worship. You ain't trying to learn. You come to that only when you need something. You ain't come. See, the Bible says that he said, I give you water that you will never thirst, but they think you mean you drink that cup one day. No. You're supposed to drink water before you get thirsty. When you are thirsty, you're already dehydrated. You should continue to drink water all day long, which means you need to read the word all day. You need to be praying all day. His praise shall continuously be on my lips. And you don't have a relationship with God, yet you come to the priest in the end because why? One reason you come is because the priest is free and they ain't charging you like they charging you to go to the daggone counselor.
I charge.
So now you there because you broke. And you want some type of spiritual assistance. You want God to step in and do a miracle when you weren't having God in the midst of your marriage in the first place anyway. Now you want to come to God and messing up the statistics of the church world to say that we got all this divorce, which we do to a certain extent, but a lot of those are church people who really don't go to church.
I think people don't understand covenant. And they don't understand the importance of it. So marriage is when you're hearing, oh, it's just a piece of paper. Oh, you don't need that. Or it's not that big of a deal. Oh, who cares if y'all stay together? In the end days, it's going to be 7 women to 1. So I think people aren't.
It's already like that in Atlanta, so the end day's been here.
It's like that. It's like that in Newport News. It's like that in Newport News. But I think people lean on that and they act as if it's not a big deal, as if you didn't, make a covenant before God. And then they also people want to lean on their own understandings and they forget the grace factor. You have to give much because much is also required. People are human. I think when I do pastoral counsel or when I do premarital counseling, the 5 love languages is a great base, but you've got to change. You've got to consider that languages change in different seasons. And so when I was single, I didn't need, I might not have needed you to take out my trash. I've been taking out my trash. I didn't need these acts of service. I don't need you to take, go get my car washed or do certain things like that. But then when I become a mom and I'm a wife and I'm trying to make a house a home, yes, please take out this trash. Yes, please, my car is dirty and me and your kids are riding around in it. So there are certain things that change in different seasons. When you were maybe just in real estate, or maybe if you were just at school or you were just doing one thing, you wouldn't need someone to say, hey, don't forget you have this meeting. Hey, don't forget, or you know what, you're doing a good job. You might not have needed affirmation in those seasons. Why? Because the money's rolling in, your business is successful, you're helping family, you have all of these different things, but then you become a pastor and the sheep bite. And so you're pouring in, people are telling you you're doing terrible, the deacon's coming in doing stuff at a funeral. You have all of these different things, and now you need these words of affirmation. Now you were built up and you were self-motivated and you were driven, and now you need somebody to say, hey, I see you. You're doing a wonderful job. So everything changes and you have to be able to roll with the punches. And so people get married. One, they get married for the wedding. Who cares about a wedding? Marriage or mortgage? Give me the mortgage, okay? And just whatever. But people forget the importance of it. And that people change, they grow. So if you want me to accept your change, why can't you accept mine? People divorce not just a person, but you divorce a call, and you also divorce a ministry too. Sometimes you do marry someone where you're unequally yoked because you can have trauma bonds. You can get with the wrong person or get with the right person in the wrong season, and y'all never leave that season because those are the roles you met yourselves in. And so then when you attempt to grow, so 2 fat people or 2 overweight people meet each other. One starts to lose weight and the other one is like, dang, well, who you getting skinny for? Who you getting slim for? What if I just want to be better myself? So then why don't you see what I'm doing and come alongside me? And let's do this thing together, right? So there's so many different reasons for divorce that we always just think, oh, well, she's not pleasing him. He ain't pleasing her. Oh, he stepped out. You can forget. Let me tell you something. They always say it's cheaper to keep her. But the truth is, it's better. The devil you know is better than the one you don't. Okay? If you realize that people step out because of what's lacking inside of them, you're looking at a manifestation of spiritual things. If you learned how to pray, if you learned how to fast, if you learned how to intercede, if you had that relationship and you could see where they're lacking and what they're missing, there's so many different things where we throw people away, and just because you're having a trashy moment does not mean that you're garbage. So when we're thinking about someone making a mistake or slipping up, don't we wish all would be saved? And can you not be still saved with me? Do you need to be saved somewhere else? Can I not forgive you? Have I not ever needed forgiveness? We're very judgmental, and people fault me for this on my podcast and on my show because I'm usually on the man's side, okay? I have brothers, I have a good father, I've got uncles, I have great men in my life, and they've also taught me about the struggles. My brother told me one time, you're intimidating, okay? So guys could see you and think, dang, she doesn't need me, but then they get to meet you and you're a sweetie pie, you're helpful, you're nice, you're kind, they don't even know your heart is just as beautiful as your face. But I have realized, like, if a guy tries to say something to me, and it's not disrespectful, I'll speak back and I'll say, hi, how are you doing? Or, someone sends me something, it's like, hey, I'd like to take you out. Thank you for considering me. I appreciate that. Those things are not just needed at the beginning. They're still needed in the middle. The same grace, appreciation, kindness. It's kind to be kind. And it's even kinder to be kind to your spouse. People need, people need hugs, love, affirmation, physical touch. There's so much healing in a kiss and a hug and a snuggle. And so when you get mad, I'm not going to bed mad. My dad says all the time, I didn't get married to sleep alone. You sleeping on the couch, we're going to both be on the couch. And both of us are going to be uncomfortable. So hopefully you decide to get up and go to the bed so we can both just be in the bed together. But it's the enemy. You let the small foxes spoil the vine. And so the enemy really hates marriage because why? He's tearing down kingdoms all along the way that are supposed to build the kingdom. Because if he can destroy your marriage, he destroys your children's marriage by just their view of what your marriage was or was not. So then he's destroying ministries. He's destroying testimonies. He's destroying lives, argument by argument, signing by signing, divorce paper by divorce paper. It's just so much bigger. And I think people get married and they forget that it's not just about you. Gosh, there's so many people that could be saved if you saw somebody stick it out. I came from a 2-parent household. So I see them get into arguments, and I was the mediator. I learned how to cook because my mom doesn't cook. She wasn't raised that she had to cook. She was raised around her uncles, and they told her she could be whatever she wanted to be. So she had both her and my dad. We joke and say they both wear the pants, or whatever the case is. But I've seen God reconcile their marriage. So I'm not afraid of an argument. I'm not afraid of a disagreement, but I've always seen them go to bed together at night. So if y'all are married, if y'all argue, just sleep together. Just be mad and sleep together. Because what it does is it's still the two becoming one over and over and over and over and over. And in that, the enemy gets madder and madder and madder because the longer you separate and the more distance you put between you in the bed, in life, in business, in friendship, he just comes in and he steals, kills, and destroys. And you will find out that you were sifted, and you'll go back into the single world and you'll realize that all you needed was some counseling. All y'all needed was just some understanding. It's perspective, and perspective is relative, and you can't be so eager. Grass is green where you water it. You can't be so eager to look at the trees you forget the forest. It's way bigger than you. I know that I'm supposed to have a marriage ministry. I'm supposed to be with someone who cares about marriage, not just about what happens when you get married, but about what it's supposed to do and how it destroys the enemy's plans. So I truly believe that the church is really misled. I don't think you should stay together if you're getting abused. Somebody's giving you a black eye or, going crazy and acting crazy with you. But if you could just consider you're two separate people every day, but your purpose and your call and your walk should be very similar, if not exactly the same. Men have it tough. Their lives are hard. They're men. And then if you marry a black man, he's a black man on top of that. So he's called to be a provider, a caretaker. When a man walks you down the aisle to another man, your father gives you from one provider to the next. Is that not heavy? So then you come home and you got a lot to say. Don't dump. There are so many different things to keep people married, and that doesn't mean you can't ever speak your piece. You can't ever say something. Just don't do it on Saturday and don't do it on Monday. And if you say it on Sunday, he ain't gonna hear you. But you just have to learn, and you don't have to be a doormat. But does the doormat still not have purpose of dusting something off so it's not carried in the house? So what could you stop at the door of your house with your spouse to make sure it's not trickling down and raining on your children?